All right, my beautiful people. New level, no devil. Let's get this party started, brothers and sisters. Taking a new twist or a new turn from what we talked about the last show. I was going into not really mind, but thought alchemy. And last night got a download that says we got to do a little reverse engineering, break down the biology of the temple. This is an introduction to the new series that we'll be starting. Cost is $297 instead of the previous series we're going to do, which was $597. So a little less expensive, and we'll move it back to, and we'll kick it off on, let's say, I think it's September the 30th. We'll have do a early registration edition as well. So today we want to break down the biology of the temple. This is a precursor to breaking down the benefits of fasting and prayer, which is a precursor or part of breaking down the benefits of autophagy. And so today we want to get into the biology, which is crazy because I've been, every video that I posted this morning on my TikTok channel was removed for community violation. So I kind of went back and just posted images with music to see if that would stick. And one or two got through, but I posted about like 10 videos and they all got taken down. I also scheduled the event on Facebook. I'm see if that's going to get taken down or not. But we should be asking ourselves the question, why is basic biology more of a threat than religion? In other words, I can quote scriptures all day on any social media, and I'll never have any problem. In fact, all of our accounts were deleted due to medical violations by stating basic biology. So, again, I just went to Harvard, Yale, Princeton's website. I restate exactly what Dr. Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, my boy David Sinclair state. Their websites, YouTube channels are still up, but mine got deleted for basically sharing or connecting the dots between the Bible and the body. So they don't care if I talk about the Bible. They also don't care if I talk about the body, as long as I don't talk about the body and the Bible together. It's like when I started 20 plus years ago, and I said I was going to combine science and spirit. Everybody told me I was drinking the purple Kool-Aid. And I got a lot of flack for exposing the fact that they've mystified, they spiritualized the body. So that way you can't see the forest for the trees. And so I talk about this a lot inside of all of my books, especially two books that are extremely important, which we'll be using for, again, we just laying the foundation for the next series, because as we get into what Jesus talks about, where certain things only come out by fasting and prayer, or prayer and fasting. So what are those things? It's not what you've been taught. Everything in the Bible has been dumbed down, which is why it's not effective. So once you dumb down the Bible and over and understand what the Bible is really saying, that activates your power. Now, again, this new series is like the one we just finished. If we go through really everything that we talk about, that's why this information is so dense and so important. And I know it's a lot of information. But remember, don't try to remember this with your conscious brain. Everything I'm saying goes directly into your spirit. You may not consciously think you are retaining it and remembering it, but you are, because that's how powerful you are. We've just forgotten how to access everything that you hear and see is recorded. That's all you are. You're just a big recording device. You're like this big, huge, super quantum computer. Everything that you've seen and heard since the beginning of your birth, you have memory of. But the problem is that we don't know how to access it, or they don't teach us how to access it. So when we talk about the biology of the temple, remember, it's very interesting that the Bible says all of this stuff, but we don't get into the DNA polymerase, the RNA and how the DNA works from the perspective of understanding that the DNA is nothing but what they call codons. These codes activate genes that are transcription devices. They're recorders. They simply record things, and they are packaged together in what is called a RNA. And this RNA and the DNA, they work together. It's turned on and it's turned off by your beliefs, or what is called your chromatin, which is the epigenetic chemical modification that just simply means that sound and light changes what's recorded. The recording is there, but your perception of the recording can be changed. So a chromatin is this complex, it's like a tubular. It's nothing but a micromolecule found in all of our cells. And its function is simply to package the DNA into a smaller, compact recording that can fit into your cell. And then it reinforces what is called mitosis, which is how does your DNA prevent damage, and how does the DNA control expression and replication? Now, what's interesting to me is that we could talk about biology, and you may get it depending on your, love of the human body or lack thereof. But at the end of the day, the only way for you to play is for you to have a basic understanding that the Bible is all about how genes are expressed inside of the body, because the body is the temple of God. Once you understand that this is what they call temple science, this is where Jesus went and he learned temple science. So everything in the Bible, when it talks about like flee sexual immorality, let's read 1 Corinthians 6:18. Now remember, this is a precursor. This is a foundation of getting into, some crazy stuff. I talked about the Essene Gospel of Peace that talks about, that demons are parasites. So there is the true title of the upcoming series is really, demons and diet. Your diet determines your demons, because you eat for your parasites or you eat for your tongue. We don't eat for nutritional value. Otherwise, we'll be eating bitters and herbs. So the parasites in your biome or your gut determines your diet, because they tell you what they want to eat. And so that's why, like right now, I'm on. Another thing too, if anybody really wants, especially for the new members, I think we did this a while back, and I know Dr. Martinet, Sister Cheryl West, I think Dr. Coleman, I think a few other people jumped in on it. So I'm just documenting like I do every time I keep notes. So anybody that would like a copy of my notes, I put it into a little ebook of my detox regimen. So far, I have not seen duplicated nowhere on the internet. I've been saying this for a long time, and it's inside of and on my website, Master Teacher 33. It's also on the website, theocentricnutrition.com. And I talk about frequent intense training. For example, so I started last night at 12 midnight. And from last night from 12 midnight, and I will go anywhere from 3, 7. I never have a predetermined amount of time. So this is very important, because it must be instinctive. You cannot structure source out by structuring source in. So source is like the wind. The big G can't fit into your box. And so you must operate according to your gut. That's why even everything that we do is kind of anti-source, anti-God. Let's say dating. So if you collapse your ways onto one person, instead of becoming a magnet it's like advertising. So when you advertise something, what you're doing is you are sending out frequency, waves, and vibrations for the people who are shopping or looking for those specific frequencies, waves, and vibrations. So the dieting, nutrition is the same thing. The body will tell you what it needs. You got to listen. Like magnesium and, selenium and, glutathione. All of these are trace minerals that are difficult to find in our diet because the soil is depleted. So you gotta supplement by tuning in. For example, like eating grapes, especially the skin of grapes. Because of the nutritional density. In my book, Reverse Aging, I talk about this thing that they call flavonoids. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about these trace minerals that are needed in order for you to detox. Now, what's magnanimous to me is when we read 1 Corinthians 6:18, when it says, flee from sexual immorality. But that has nothing to do with what we sex. It says, and every other sin a man can commit is inside of his body, but he who sins sexually sins against his own body. So it's just like what we're going to be breaking down in this new series. And again, I think I'll move it back. We're going to start it on the 26th or 7th. We'll move it back all the way to September the 30th. We'll start it on the September the 30th. Because I think that's a Saturday, if I remember correctly, that Friday or Saturday. And in this new series, we're going to break down that how your what we call diet, how your nutritional intake affects you. But we got to go deeper than that because we got to understand that, okay, if that is true, autophagy is nothing but two Greek words, auto and how do you say that second word spelled phagomai, which means to eat. So autos, autos, means self, and then to eat self or self-eating. It means self-devouring. So autophagy is a crazy process that's the only thing based upon especially the way I live my life. I just, like last night, and I always do this before detoxing because it's always interesting to me because I never monitor it. And so I was almost, I think, what was it? What was I at? I was almost at like 270. And for my height, that's considered extremely obese. And it's always interesting because I don't really notice it other than the little small things, clothes fitting too tight, more skin. I noticed I'll get more like a little skin irritation, a bump here or there or something. Because remember, your skin is the biggest area for the poisons and the toxins to come out. When they come out, they will actually, irritate the skin. And so people will take things to try to, they'll try to address an internal problem externally. And we do that with everything in life. So when we talk about the benefits of prayer and fasting, first of all, what is prayer and what is fasting? And then if we look at the story in Matthew 17:14, when it talks about, the guy that none of the disciples could heal, and they asked Jesus privately, why could we not drive it out? And then Jesus said unto them, because of the littleness, I'm reading from the New International Version, because of the littleness of your faith. For truly I say unto you, if you have faith of the size of a mustard seed, and you say to the mountain, move from here to there, it will move. And nothing will be impossible to you. But this kind does not come out except by prayer and fasting. So we got to find out what this kind is. Because we go all the way back up, it says, and Jesus answered and he said to them, you unbelieving and perverted generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring him to me. Jesus is upset because nobody could deal with this dude. But it's interesting because if you go back up to 14, when the crowd came around Jesus and they said, Lord, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic. And he is very ill. So he often falls into the fire and often into the water. I brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him. So this can only be addressed through fasting and prayer. And I went through this with my daughter Shamora and my son BJ. They both had this, falling into the fire and falling into the water. Before we start this series, go and ask your preacher, what does that mean? This kind of demon does not come out except by prayer and fasting. Autophagy. Now the word in that verse is called Demoniac. The word demon and IAC attached to it. Demoniac means possessed by and or as by a raging, frantic, evil spirit. But it's interesting because it's Christianized. No biology in there. That's how he gets everybody. We're going to also break down Mark 9:14 through 29, where there's a very similar story, where there's something, some frequencies, some waves, some verbs, some vibrations. They don't come out. The only way to get past this specific obstacle is through fasting and prayer. But what is fasting and praying? I've never heard it taught, other than when I taught it a few years ago. That's why we got to go back and we got to teach it again. Because I was going to continue to go into deeper, but there's a lot of us, we still have obstacles. That even though we are, remember, what is the obstacle? Same thing he told the disciples. They ain't got no faith. But we all got faith. We got pistis, pistu, and type, though. We know how to induce ourselves to believe. But we still don't believe. Because if we really believe, that mountain would be, that issue that we have would be gone. So we got to deal with that. Whatever that issue, whatever that most pressing problem is in your life that it talks about in Luke chapter 9, verse 37 through 42, we're going to break that one down. Because we have to totally recycle, we won't use that term, which is the word myconcosis, which is the word reincarnation. That's what they took reincarnation out of the Bible, because it doesn't mean reincarnation coming back to earth. It means reincarnation of recycling your cells. The Bible is a book about biology. If you understand the Bible, you understand your biology, because demons are your demon is based upon your diet. All diets, all nutrition, because they're not nutrition. They're minerals, they're enzymes. Those are frequency, waves, and vibrations. There are some that are benevolent. The more bitter it is, the more benevolent it is. That's why the Bible talks about bitter herbs. It's like when you eat a lemon, well, you know how if you bite into a lemon, what kind of face do you make? Versus when you bite into a Krispy Kreme donut. Man, the devil's good. I tell you, man, I ain't mad at this dude. If I hadn't connected with the source of all frequencies, shit, I'd still be working for the devil. There ain't nobody on the planet that's more powerful than the devil. That's why this is his planet. He run the show down here. We got dandelions growing in our yard that we think that shit is weeds. That's the most powerful healer on the planet. Dandelions that you put it. We go out and we will buy poison to spray on dandelions because they're weeds. And then that gets into the soil, and then we end up eating it. And the dude is good. I mean, the whole system is set up. So we're focusing on, we think that the Bible is talking about having sex when it says sexual immoralities. Because it breaks it down in 1 Corinthians 6 when it says, do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You're not your own. And that is bodies, plural. Therefore, glorify God in your body. So the only way for you to glorify God is to glorify your body. That's why women are demonized. You can't be sensual. You can't be sexual. You can't be seductive. You can't take pride. You can't look good. You can't show off your body. No. That's why you're a slut. Go to church with your titties out. See what happens. I mean, with, some cleavage showing. The usher is going to say, well, sister, we don't want you to be a distraction for, the brothers. Well, the brothers got the problem, not you. So we have a lot to go over. So that way you can really, really, really I look forward to things that everybody else say is difficult to do. That's everything that I do. Most people say that, man, I don't know how you do that. Because there's a process in place that actually makes it easy. The source code always gives us a way of escape. It's very, very interesting that we live in the shadow. You know that no science have never even seen DNA. Like we can see the shadow. That's a lot of things that we have we have a theorem. We don't have we have a theory, we don't have a theorem. Because your DNA is a physical picture of the temple of God. Your DNA is literally the language that functions exactly the same way that the Hebrew functions. Hebrew means he that crosses over. So the language that traces back all the way to what we call the Garden of Eden. This language is called DNA or DEA, depending on who you want to talk to. So the Hebrew language is the language of God or the language of the Word, because the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That means the DNA became flesh, which is made up of sound and light. So your DNA molecule is the instruction manual that forms the human body. So DNA slows down. DNA is like a step down. So what we're getting into as we prepare for the next series is, if you look at the book that I wrote a while back, The Biology of the Temple of God, where we talk about the temple, which means template. And template means tabernacle. So we've got a tabernacle, that's a template. It's like a blueprint. That blueprint is based upon the temple. That's why you got two temples right by your eyeballs. That's the temple, your temples. And let them make a sanctuary for me that I may dwell in their midst. That's found in Exodus chapter 25, verse 8. So that's your job. Your job is to make a dwelling place. Because your temples, in between both of those is what we call a brain. And so that everything that the Bible is talking about the way by which we structure thought. That's what thought alchemy, which is what we were going to talk about. But we still got to break down the 22 members or corresponding sigils or letters inside of the alphabet, because these 22 points of light is where we get all of our letters from. And letters are fetters. So what does that mean? That means that everybody on this call, you're listening to me, and when we read and when we talk and when we eat, it's based upon information that we've learned. So our entire nutritional system. But mind trumps matter. So the more important thing is not what you put in your mouth. It's more importantly for you to understand what you're putting in your mind. Only by prayer and fasting. Prayer and fasting. Now we've got to break those down to get into the only way to kick off the reverse engineering process of the body that allows you to access and turn your physical temple into the dwelling place of the Most High. That means that now you control your mentals and your mind, your head controls your heart, and your heart controls your gut. Then your gut controls your heart, and then your heart controls your head. It's as above, so below, and so below, as above. And so now, as we prepare for this, we are really going down one of the most, I think, important topics that we could ever talk about. Because if you could understand, like, the benefits, anybody, you can Google them, it's all over TikTok, but Philly Davis Sinclair's work, man, they talk about, it's called an mTOR. These are precursors to reversing the aging process. And I know for me, like every time I talk to my family members, I know the only thing different that I do than any of my children and my family members and anybody that I know is what I'm going to tell you. It's what I'm doing right now. So this morning I woke up, what did I do? Well, I did my star breathing that we talked about the other day, which is you just, put your hands out to your side. What does the star look like? Like a 5-pointed star where your head is 1 point, both arms are straight out. One hand, your palm is down. The other hand, your palm is up, and your hands are straight out to your side. And your feet are spread apart with your toes pointing outward. And then you do a double breath. You go, and you hold that double breath for like 8 to 10 seconds. It takes less than a minute. You do that 2, 3 times. That's it. What does it do? It activates your pineal gland. That it's the same type of, I'm going to use the word pressure that creates that piezoelectricity inside of the brain. Then you get it, for me, I go outside, make sure that my bare feet hit the dirt. Again, just in a minute. I walk outside, I'll, go out to the backyard, I'll go to the backyard. If there's trash there, I'll make sure I have no shoes on. So depending on the weather, obviously, if it's really, really cold, that may change a little bit. Or if it's pouring down rain, obviously, that may change a little bit. But for the most part, and is this a ritual? No, it is not. If you miss a day or something, nobody cares. It ain't no big thing. Because again, by you turning it into a ritual, you actually are processing or you are preventing God from activating intuitively. So let's say you woke up one day and your intuition, you forget nothing. That means you're not supposed to do it that day. So you don't beat yourself up and be mad about it like Sunday with exercise. I may exercise, once a day. I may exercise 3 times a day. I may not exercise at all. So that's called instinctive. So my whole life is that way. Everything is instinctive. So you can't, no computer program can predict what I'm going to do. Because I don't even know what I'm going to do. So I'm creative, but I'm a 3 though. So it's easier for me to be, so you may be more structured if you just say like somebody that's 4 and 8s are a little bit more, 7s are more structured, 8s are more structured. If you're a leader, if you're 1, okay, you may require a little bit more structure than like a 2 or a 3. And 5, same way. So you got to know you. So I'm going to say what works for me may not work for you, but you got to do what works for you based upon what you are designed, because that activates your shine or your temple. Now what that does is that opens up the door now for you to be available for the download. That's all I do. I'm available for the download. Because as soon as I finish going back to my, routine, that what I can drop, whether it's like, if I want to knock out 30 pounds in say, 10 days instead of 30 pounds. And let's say if I wanted to do 60 pounds in 30 days. Well, I already know that if I'm going to do 60 pounds in 30 days, one thing I'm going to do different is the intensity and the number of workouts. So fasting while full is the best way to activate autophagy, which I'll be breaking that down as well. Because remember, protein has zero nutritional value. And then there's certain things like cinnamon, turmeric, garlic, lime, especially key lime, and also the shell or the peelings of key lime. But there's zero what we call carbohydrates and zero what we call sugar. Because the parasites primarily feed off of white or what they call denatured, any carb that has no fiber. Because the demons, for whatever reason, can't process fiber. That's why no food, no fast food has fiber in it. No white bread. The only way to turn something white is to take out the fiber. So everything in the United States, so that's why everybody's processed now. So there's demonic processing instead of demonic possession. The devil got high tech, so the devil went high tech. So everybody is processed because everybody's processed food. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that when the processed food controls you, instead of you controlling it, that's when you, like I tell you guys, I have no problem. If I want to eat a donut, I'm going to go eat it. But I also know how to get rid of it. That's two different things. Most people are addicted. I got to. See, if you got to have that cigarette or you possess a process. The demons own you. You his bitch. He tells you, boy, go get that cigarette. And you say, yes, sir. Or go get that sugar. Or go get that whatever. So I purposely go cold turkey. Because that's the whole point. The whole point is to remind yourself and whatever frequency, whatever vibration that's listening, who is in charge. Now, if you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with other people, to each his own. But I'm talking about you. I'm the only one in my family that does this. I'm the only person on the planet that I know that does this. I'm talking about cold turkey. No step down, no this, that, and that, no weaning yourself off of whatever you're trying to wean yourself off of. It's a mental disposition. It's a mindset. That's what Jesus is saying. Without that, I keep telling y'all, man, without that mindset, you got to go get a job. Because, see, you're biological, electrical, chemical, life-sustaining pattern of power. That's you. That simply means that you are a sound and light being. But your light uses sound to create symbols. Light uses sound to create symbols. That's why it's called cymatics, or color. That's all color is. Color is just dumbed down and slowed down light. But color takes instructions from what we call protein. Because proteins have the ability to, I'm just going to manipulate sound and light. So that's how we see you. That's why you got protein synthesis. And protein and light is nothing but the electrical magnetic spectrum. So we could get into like the deeper aspects of what they call radionics and, excuse me, that's a sneeze, radionic, but that's just a life-sustaining process. For us, we got to go deeper down the rabbit trail because everybody should be able to put themselves into a state of autophagy, which simply means that you are taking out the trash, which simply means that you making sure that you're reminding the demons that they work for you. If you do not have that ability to ensure that the demons work for you, then that means you work for them. That's how King Solomon did. So the whole Bible is really a book about how to control the body and understanding all of the stages of your cellular development. Now you have to get in deep into the science, I'm gonna use that term, or the biology of it, by breaking down some of the stuff that that I really enjoy researching from the biological aspects. But you still have to understand the basics, which is what they don't want you to understand. That's why there's no way, like what I've done earlier today, should have been taken off the internet. There's no way I should have been flagged for violating community standards. And all I said was that your body is the temple. And I just said that, everything that you eat, your food determines your mood. And basic, so other things I've talked about, just basic biology. All this is found inside the Essene Gospel of Peace that talks about parasites, teratomas. Those are what we call, now remember, demon is not a bad, it's not a demonic, not demonic, it's not an evil term. It's just a word. It's like all words. Words in themselves, they're not necessarily evil or good. They are just terms that we use. So the Bible is a book about the body. Okay, that's not demonic. That's not nothing. That's just a word. So why does that cause so much issue on social media? Well, the people who run social media. Well, Lucifer is in charge of social media. So I can see how he, she, or it will be concerned because they don't want you to understand the benefits. What benefits? It was given to you by source. Do you know that Matthew 17, 21, if I remember correctly, is not in any of the new Bibles? Let me say it again slowly. It's really interesting. If you go to Google and type in Matthew 17:21, then it says people also ask, why is Matthew 7:21 missing? What does Matthew 7:21 mean? Why is Matthew 7:21 revised? And if you click on why is Matthew 17:21 missing, so that question has been asked a lot on Google. It says reason. The verse closely resembles Mark 9:29. Then it goes into the Coptic Ethiopian manuscripts. It's in the original Ethiopian manuscripts. Remember I told you guys I always read the Ethiopian Bible because the Ethiopian Bible still contains all of the books. It doesn't have just 66 books. It still have the 80 books. But why is it missing? Why did they take it out? Well, what does it say? Matthew, 17:21. But this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So why did they said they took it out and they made it a footnote? Now that's a good question. Why did they take it out and why did they make it a footnote? What is it about prayer and fasting that, they, again, we don't know who they are, but whoever they are, they don't want you to do what I do. Because what happens if you do what I do? Well, I look a lot younger than my biological age. I just had last week I had to go get my vision checked to get my driver's license renewed, and the wife was like, "You about to get exposed." I go, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Boy, you need glasses." She didn't think just because everybody else my age wears glasses, I'm supposed to wear them. So I went there, like always, 20/20 vision. But I already knew that. I'm about to tell you guys about taking a 3x5 card, punching a hole in it, and looking at the sun. A whole another 30 minutes at a time. So I've forgotten more health nuts and bolts to assist you with vibrating and keeping your body and your temple oscillating and vibrating at a high level. Does that mean anything? It don't mean jack shit. All it simply means is I'm doing what I'm called to do by God. Because I'm born in September. I'm supposed to be aware of stuff that other people are not. And I'm a 33. That's all it means. That means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I ain't no guru. I'm just like you. The only difference is I just want to, remember what we said yesterday? One of those 12 things that we talked about? How do you want to spend your time on the rest of your time on this planet? Remember, they say the average Negro lives to be 72. Okay, take 72 minus your age. That's how many birthdays you got left, boo-boo. That's how many Christmases you got left. How you want to spend them? I ain't spending no more birthdays, no more Christmases, no more time with no Negroes that don't see my worth and my value. Why? I'm not wasting any of my time. I'm living my life to the hilt. I'm going all out, Brother Jesse. All out. No more play. But that's just me. Everybody's different. You get to, be and do you. I get to be and do me. There is a reason why they took out, because they know how the human body recycles itself. And they cannot allow you to recycle yourself. Because inflammation, I can tell, because even if I go for a long period of time, I think, so what if I didn't do this? But the other day I was just walking and my knee started hurting. And it was kind of weird. And I was like, so that's, then I tell you guys about, like little irritations popping up on my skin. Or even if I keep going, my vision will start getting blurry. Well, I already know about the clothes. You got to keep getting larger and larger T-shirts, pants. You have to, get an extra belt. So what if I didn't know what I know? This is literally, honestly, the only difference between me and pretty much everybody else. And you know what's really scary? Nobody thinks this is important. This shit is crazy. The church should be teaching biology, not religion. Because biology is religion. Could you imagine the church taught, if everybody in the church did what I do, there wouldn't be no disease. Because technically, based on what we're going to now, we got to break it down, though. But I know just for me personally, remember, every disease that you can, quote unquote, get, curable and incurable, you already have. The only difference is your immune system suppresses it. So there's a war going on for your immune system. Well, technically, you already got everything, so you don't really catch a disease. Your immune system just stops or loses power to neutralize the disease. All of you, like everything, every disease known to man. I found that out when I got with the whole shingles thing. And doctor was like, now remember, how do they know? Because they put it in there. Remember that vaccination shot you got when you was a kid? Remember the polio vaccine? And remember the mumps and the measles and all those? That's them putting shit in. So it's from the time that you was born, they've been dumping stuff in your body. So they know it's there. They got to wait for you to keep destroying yourself so that way you can weaken your immune system. So that shit that they put in bubbles up to the surface and they say, oh, snap, look what happened, bruh. You got the big C, so sorry. 30 days. You didn't have the big C. They put it in there. That's why they say they got forever chemicals. Everybody's heard of the Teflon flu. every pan that I've seen, except for cast iron skillets. That's why I try to cook out of cast iron as often as possible. Why? Because forever chemicals are in that Teflon. Everybody we go through, so you live your whole life eating out of a Teflon pan. And then one day you go to the doctor and say, oh, you got the big C. Well, shit, of course. You've been eating out of the pan and you've never detoxed. You've never, ever taken the trash out. You've never allowed your body's own healing and cleansing process to take place to clean your temple. It's like living in a house and you never clean your house. Could you imagine going to the bathroom and you never empty your, trash? You never clean the toilet. You never do nothing. Now I've been to people's houses where that's unfortunately that's the case. It's not a pretty picture. Damn sure it's not a very pleasant one for a smelling wise. You ever go to these, you're traveling, you go to these low budget gas stations in the middle of the night, and you got to go to the restroom, so you pump your gas, you go in the restroom, and you're like, oh snap, ladies, I know y'all be like, man, I ain't sitting down on that. Plus men, we don't, we can stand up. But I've been somebody. The wife will come out and she'll be like, we got to find another restroom. I'm not going in there. Like what? No, I'm not sitting down on that. The body's no different. It's interesting to me that the Bible says, give careful thought to your ways. Go up into the mountains and bring down timber and build a house, so that I may take pleasure in it and be honored. That's Haggai chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. It's interesting that, remember, the word mountain always means crown chakra. It always means high vibrational thinking. Timber means thoughts. I can go to any verse in the Bible and tell you what part of the body or how it's pertaining to you neglecting to take care of your body. See, source code wants you. Your body is the temple or the ruach and the pneuma. Everything, inflammation, arthritis, cramps, all of the things that happen inside of the body must happen inside of the mind first. And it's interesting because people, as they age, it's just automatically assumed, expected, embraced, even wanted. He would tell me, oh, like that's why I don't celebrate birthdays. Because somebody trying to put something on you. Oh, dog shit, you getting older, man. Man, you ain't gonna be able to climb the stairs the way you used to. The devil is a lie. I'm climbing stairs as long as I'm on the planet. I'm climbing stairs. I will continue to have the activities of my limbs. Every organ in my body will function according to its purpose. I declare it in the creed because that's what this whole verse is talking about. Jesus got pissed off and he said, come on, man. How long I got to be with y'all and keep modeling the behavior? Because they was like, hey, man, we can't do nothing with this. They brought to him an issue. They couldn't solve it. And Jesus was pissed off. So if you got an issue and you can't solve it, Jesus is pissed off. God is pissed off. Source is pissed off. If there's any obstacle in your life that you've had and it's just sticking around and you're like, damn, I can't whoop this demon, I know how to do it. Fasting and prayer. But we got to break down fasting and prayer. You see, brothers and sisters, this body is the body that God gave you. And it says that he bought you at a price. It means that he made this body at a price. And he put some energy and some effort into it. You might not like it, but he, she, or it does. And so now, what do we do next? Because it says, you're not your own. God owns your body. It's his. It's his temple. So God created this because he, she, it wanted to dwell and experience life. So Lucifer can't do that. He needs to hijack God's system so he can experience it too. So that's why there's a war going on for, okay, who's going to drive the automobile? Who's going to drive your vehicle? The parasite or the Ruach and the Pneuma? So before God can dwell on earth, he has to dwell in us. That's how he dwells. That's how he gets around. Because he don't have a body, so he uses yours. She uses yours. It uses yours. Whatever. It's a frequency. It's a wave. It's a vibration. And so my job and your job is to allow. That means that we just gotta get out of the way. So we still talking about, man, I gotta get a degree. I gotta get. And source is like, I ain't interested in your ability. I'm interested in your availability. You gotta be available. And so the whole key is the enemy is putting things inside of you that bogs down, slows down you. And so my job and your job is understanding that, okay, we have this DNA, which is a physical picture of an invisible source. Damn, Big G's awesome. So I have, through what we call language, through this Hebrew, because those 22 letters match up exactly with the 22 amino acids, or the 22 letters of the alphabet. Now, I ain't set the system up. I'm just explaining it to you. Because the language of Hebrew, Heeboo, which means the ability to cross over, he who crosses over. So it's the ability for invisible to cross over into the visible, and for the visible to cross over into the invisible, back and forth. As above, so below. And so source code chose to use DEA or DNA as the language of his book. And his book is inside of your body. So they took the book out of the body and they put it into an external book. So now everybody's reading that book. The kingdom of God is within. The Hebrew language is a language of the body. Because the word became flesh. So DNA is the word made flesh. And so if we don't understand amino acids, we don't understand protein structures, if we don't understand the elemental basics of biochemistry, because biochemistry, it drives all biological processes or process. So we ain't got to be no Rhodes Scholar, but we just need to understand that, okay, we got a molecular structure that's made up of 22, amino acids or 22 letters. That's called the Hebrew alphabet. And these 22 letters describe exactly what the Bible calls the Word of God, because it's written both in Hebrew and in Greek. Hebrew has 22 letters, but in Greek, there are 24. In English, there are 26. And so we've got to look at this very, very interesting, because the Greek gives us the 24, and then we get the 22. Our job is to understand that we got 46 chromosomes in each cell. And so now they are manipulating the cells by manipulating the amount of amino acids. And that's how they are able to use etymology. Now we can go to Isaiah chapter 8, verse 18. 8, again, then 18, 1 and 8, 9. Behold, I and the children whom Jehovah has given to me are for signs. You look that up in these letters. And wonders in Israel from Jehovah of hosts, who dwells in Mount Zion. Mount Zion represents where? The holies of holies, which is the DNA. So Israel is Ra-El, Father, Son, Spirit. That's the Trinity. Isis, Ra, and Elohim. the three main religions. And so what we see, and we can go all through the body and the Bible, because it's literally talking about this one frequency wave of vibration, especially the letters O, X, Y, which is a Greek word that means very sharp. Again, you go to dictionary.com, you can look all of this up as well. And we've done many shows, well, not many, but we've talked about this before, because the whole word, dial, rhetoric, acid, basically just talks about the ability to build a temple according to a specific word or papyrus. That's what the word ribo means, R-I-B-O, which means papyrus. O-X-Y means sharp. D-E means according to. Ribo means papyrus, nucleotide, and nucleus means seed. So we break down that whole word where we get the word DNA from and get into it. And again, all of this stuff is inside the book, The Biology of the Temple, by the way, which is a precursor for where we're going. So, again, just decided to shift gears a little bit to go back into a deeper understanding. So there is a very big conundrum that's taking place. We'll put it that way. And that is a reason why we have these issues that can't be solved. They just keep hanging around because our souls are trapped in computers. Now, the computer is nothing but this little, let's use the word cube, but it's called a tesseract. Now, the tesseract is designed to keep you trapped, because this tesseract is literally a cube inside of a cube. So 3 and 4 density. So the little g does not want you to go higher and get out of 3-dimensional physics. Excuse me. So there is something that keeps you in 3 and 4D. So that way you don't go and activate 5G. But 5G is here now. And so the whole point is to prevent you from going and becoming one with the big G. So that way it can keep you trapped inside of this current frequency. So your job and my job is to activate Romans 11. When it talks about, so the etymology of DNA, talking about the word of God is written on 4 sides of 2, I'm going to use the word pairs. That's why we got DNA. So AT is always together and GC is always together. So we got adenine and thymine, and then we got guanine and cytosine, which are the 4 parts of the DNA. So in the human body, A and T is always together because that represents the front. G and C is always together, represents the back. It's 2 tablets. So when Moses went up on the mountain, he received DNA. He just received how to structure his DNA using his brain, because the mountain represents going up to a high vibrational space. Now remember, you cannot go on social media and combine the Bible and the body. What's happening to me today is going to happen to you, because this will change your life. And the way it changed mine. My life totally changed. I realized with my real eyes that these were all real lies. And the light came on when I was able to understand the etymology of DNA. And I looked at the fundamental principles of how the Bible is written. And I looked into it and I was like, whoa, am I seeing what I'm seeing? And what was I seeing? I was seeing that all life, the Holy Scriptures as we call them, they proclaim that the Word of God is life. Even John 6:63. 6 and 3 is 9. So we got the numbers 369. That was Lucifer. That's what Tesla said. If you know the secret to 369. John 6:3. It is the spirit that quicketh. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So There is no profit in the body unless there is the spirit that is animating the body. So they want to make sure that your spirit is dead. That way the body is of no use. The body is no good if there isn't the ruach and the pneuma inhabiting the body. And so my job is to make sure that we over and understand, that you guys over and understand that we have to over and understand what it talks about in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 46. Take to your heart all the words with which I am warning you today, which you shall command your sons to observe carefully, even all the words of this law. Verse 47, Deuteronomy 32, verse 47. For it is not an idle word for you. Indeed, it is your life. And by this word, you will prolong your days in this land, which you are about to cross over to Jordan to possess. That's the Old Testament. Deuteronomy 32, verse 46 and 47. So the body is used so that the spirit can navigate in this land. But you got to take to heart all the words. That's why, again, it's very, very important. I have no problem with the words. I have a problem with the way that the people interpret the words. Because I have not ran across anybody that can interpret the biological significance of the body. I've seen people who can interpret the astrological, and I've seen people who can just interpret the spiritual. There's a lot of theologians out there that can give me the metaphysical, spiritual aspects. But what about the biology? How does the Bible and the biology match? The Bible is a book about the body. The body is a book about the Bible. They're both the same. So we read Philippians chapter 2, verse 15, Philippians 2:15. So that you may be blameless and pure and children of God without fault in a crooked and perverse generation in which you shine as lights in this dark world. Verse 16, Philippians 2:16. As you hold forth the word of life, in order that I may boast on the day of Christ, that I did not run or labor in vain. Verse 17, Philippians 2:17. But even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service of your faith, I am glad, and I am rejoicing, and I rejoice with all of you. So this is just letting us know that we're supposed to be blameless, pure children of God without fault. And we're in the midst of a very crooked and perverse generation. But what we're supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to shine as lights in a dark world. How do we do that? We hold forth the word of life. Jesus came that you may have life. So what they do, they gave you the wrong Jesus so you can live the wrong life. You can easily tell because you got problems that you cannot solve. Because if you had the right Jesus, you would have what we call wealth, health, wisdom, and get your toes curled every day. So there is obstacles that only come out through fasting and praying. So we got to expose the light on fasting and praying. So that way we can make sure that we can do what? Align our mind with our God-given desires, so that way we can shine. Because the English word life comes from the Hebrew word chalav, or C-H-A-L-A-V, which means the best part or the choice part. It literally means fat. Life means fat. That's why I said this is the metaphysics of opulence. Remember the word Lord in the Old Testament? It means wealthy, large, noble belly, fat. Life means you living good. It's not this Creator shit that I see preached at Ebenezer Baptist, where you gotta hold on, come back next Sunday for your blessing. No, this word life comes from the Hebrew. Because remember, we got Greek. Greek must be translated over into Hebrew to get the true meaning. Because Hebrew has letters that activate your DNA. That's why they gave you English. That's why they gave you Greek. Hebrew is the only letter that allows you to cross over. That's why the Kabbalah has it. And that's why Lucifer has it. Lucifer ain't stupid. He just translated the Hebrew into Latin. Because Latinization is Satanization. But it's still based upon Hebrew. So Hebrew simply means life, means fat. It means prosperous. It means abundant. It means opulent. That's what the word life. So when we talk about life that coming forth from the proteins that are produced inside of the DNA molecule, inside of each cell inside of your body, that life is supposed to make you oscillate and vibrate in full value of the word calculation. What that means? That just simply means that when you add up from a numerical perspective, the numbers that's behind each one of these words, which we're not going to get into, but I talk about it a little bit inside of the book, with the word abar, which comes up to equals the numbers 5, 2, 3. And we talked about that before. 5 and 2 is 7, 7 and 3 is 10, 1 and 0 is 1, represents singularity. And a lot of the words that have to do with what they call protos in the Greek, or avar, A-V-A-R, in Hebrew, which represents what we call source, or God, word. So, brothers and sisters, in conclusion, it's extremely important that we understand the very foundation that we have to tap into, so that way we are able to do what? Overcome, that we don't get that, I'm going to use the word, I ain't going to say bad testimony, or we don't get the, continue to get the results that the disciples got when they ran up against a specific frequency, wave of vibration that they just couldn't handle it. No matter what they did, that demon was like, nah, bruh, you work for me. I ain't coming. Jesus showed up, and the demon was like, come on, dog. Why you coming to torture us before our time? He didn't have to say nothing. His energy. He just walked in the room. That's where you should be. You should just walk in the room, and people be like, damn. There goes Sister Coleman again. That means we can't run no game because, Sister Coleman is here. That's how they should respond when you walk into the room. They can be running game. They got everybody else. Kind of like, parents, when you come home, kids have been acting crazy. They see you driving the driveway. They were scrubbing around trying to fix the house back up, trying to put the pillows back on the sofa. They was in there just playing, like a full-on, WWE wrestling match in the house. And you told them, hey, no playing in the house. While you was gone, though, they're sporting like rock stars. But when they see you drive up in the driveway, though, ooh-wee, the scramble is on to try to put the house back in order. Because they know you, your expectations, your desires, because you advised and you set the table before you left. So we're taking a little bit of a different turn than what I was originally planning on going into, but I want to make sure that everybody on this call is equipped. So when you hit up against that brick wall, especially, we can no longer, if I did nothing and I just kept going on my current pace, right now, just by, putting on weight and putting on weight and putting on weight and living a good life, going out to eat every night, because I knew that my birthdays, and this is every year. Like, I ain't tripping. So that's the point, though. The point is, I could be all anal retentive, like, no, I don't celebrate birthdays. I don't eat cake, and, I don't want to go out to eat. I could be a hermit and just sit here and not enjoy life. But no. I'm gonna enjoy the fruits of my labor. However, I got to make sure that, and you got to make sure that we take care of ourselves. This is the only body you have. And so this is a precursor, an introduction to what we're going to be talking about on September the 30th, as we go into some very, very, very controversial And it's going to be, again, this one comes with a severe warning as well. This is not for new believers. Because what I'm going to be talking to you about is going to be challenging. Because you probably haven't heard it expressed the way that we're going to be expressing it, especially when we go into the Greek and the Hebrew of Matthew chapter 17, verse 9, Mark, 9 verse 14. What was the other one? The other one. There was one more verse. Let me see. What was it? Oh, there we go. It was Luke. Yep, Luke 9:37. As we reveal, explain, illuminate, simplify the benefits of autophagy. Now, once you see this on a deeper level, I don't know why you want to sneeze. Once you see this on a deeper level, brothers and sisters, it's going to really, really open your eyes. And then you will see, okay, now the Bible makes sense. That's why they had to change jots and tittles. Because if they did not change jots and tittles, we would see that as we age, the machinery for abundance starts to decrease in the area of functionality. In other words, everything's a little harder. Like, it takes long. You gotta warm your body up as you get older, because the body is going through something that's not designed to go through. It's called anthropy, because somebody put something in chromosome number 2. Because before that, we was able to maintain our longevity and our vitality a lot longer. So now we have to understand it, and we have to turn it on because somebody else turned it off. So today we're going to be, not today, but we're going to break this down so that way we understand how to turn this on. And in exchange for anybody that, let's see, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. Anybody that makes the payment before the 30th, I'll include my notes on how I do it personally. So basically, I'm jotting down, writing everything that I'm doing on this 3 to 7, how many days it is before the 30th, and then I would just share my personal notes with you, especially on the nutritional side, because the exercise and the nutritional side is just as important as the dietary side, especially because for you vegans, you have to know that, for example, there's certain fruits that you can eat that will also keep the body in a state of what we call ketosis. And then for people that are okay with eating meat, they're okay, well, you can't just eat all kinds of meat. There's only certain grass-fed, types of meat that you have to eat, along with eggs. And you have to drink or make sure that you are consuming plenty of, organic or real butter or olive oil or coconut oil, because you're going to need a lot of oil during this process, along with calcium, magnesium, and selenium, which you can get that through like a multivitamin or a supplement. So all of that, again, is just nothing's fancy, but it does help you, because then it will give you what I do during my routine to make sure that, and again, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I mean, really since about 18. And so, and it works. And it's been working all my life, and I will continue to do it, because now all the science is in. And now we're going to break down and touch on a little bit of that, like we talked about in previous shows as well. And we'll probably do that tomorrow as we introduce more proof. Because for a lot of people hearing it from people like David Sinclair and Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton and other people like that also understand the science of longevity and biology. And it is good to get more different perspective on this very deep and profound topic. All right, everybody. Love you. Remember, the cost is only $2.97 instead of $4.97 for this series that starts on Friday. God bless. You guys might see you later tonight or mañana. God bless.